Now, as Stephanie told us in her newscast, the Long Lake fire in the West Dalhousie area of Nova Scotia intensified over the weekend with evacuation orders expanded. Luckily, it was a different story with the Suzie's Lake fire in Halifax, which began 2 weeks ago tomorrow. Now, firefighters responded very quickly and kept the fire from endangering structures and homes. Brendan Marr is a captain and 28-year member of the fire department and the president of the Halifax Professional Firefighters Association. He joins us this morning. Good morning, Brendan. Thanks for coming in.
Morning, Crystal. Thanks for having me.
So you were there at the Suzie's Lake wildfire. Tell us what happened that day.
It was. We actually proactively upstaffed a brush truck with 2 extra members, which I came in to work on. And so the fire came in at about 2:30. The initial arriving crews were there quite quickly, and the fire was fairly small as they were arriving. By the time they got across some difficult terrain with the vehicle and the hose lines, the fire had spread up a hill. Some wind had caught it, and it pushed the fire pretty rapidly, from north toward Kent and toward Suzie Lake, and so we had about 20 firefighters on scene quite quickly, working to try to get around on both sides of the fire, the right and the left side. Just connecting hose and stretching hose lines as quickly as we could and knocking down fire as we went. And just with the conditions we have now, it's so dry. And with the topography, fire travels a little faster uphill, so it was going up a grade and a little bit of wind, and it was just it was moving quite quickly. So we probably ended up with close to 30 to 35 firefighters on scene within 2.5 hours, and then we got some relief from the planes that arrived from fighting the New Brunswick fire.
Well, we're seeing images of the fire that day. It's humongous. I can't believe that you were able to get that under control as quickly as you were. You were mentioning a few times how the wind moved the fire. How much does the weather and the wind impact a fire?
It's really significant. There's a variety of conditions that affect the way the fire grows. So, the materials that are burning, how dry they are, access, the density of the fuel, so the density of the forest in that area. If there are old trees that are lying down, fuels can go from the ground up trees quicker, so that can contribute to spread. And then the wind just, if you've ever tried to start a campfire and you've fanned it a little bit, that's an example of how wind affects fire. And so when you get a breeze, it doesn't have to be extremely windy, just a gentle breeze can fan that fire and get it going much quicker.
It is incredibly when just the breath on a campfire you can see how much that rises. You can imagine strong winds. It has been incredibly windy, incredibly dry, and I think that probably explains why the West Dalhousie fires continue to burn out of control. We have some images of that fire now. It must be very challenging for firefighters to be working on a fire this size day in, day out. Do you need special training for this kind of firefighting? Yeah,
so in Halifax, our career firefighters, our firefighters here, we're primarily structural firefighters. So we train to protect homes from fires, but part of that is protecting homes from wildfires. So for over 2 decades, we've had some basic training on wildfire and wildfire protection, protecting homes from wildfires, and we've been fighting these fires for as long as there's been a fire department. So with the growth of our communities into the previously forested areas, homes are closer to the wooded areas now than ever, and conditions are changing a little bit with drier weather and less snow in the winter and so on. We're seeing these fires grow a little quicker. There's some updated training that's available that we're hoping we can bring to Halifax soon, that deals with responding to the urban interface with the forest. So our training is not as in depth as the Department of Natural Resources folks for wildfire, but that interface with where buildings are is where we need to move to.
Let's talk about the Tantallon wildfires 2 years ago. The impact is still being felt. I understand that after those fires, there was a commitment to provide more resources, more funding to firefighters. Where does that stand?
There have been some investments made. We hired a manager to develop a wildfire program. And in the early part of this year, we had some theory-based training that was more largely focused on wildfire than fires in the urban interface. There was supposed to be an implementation of some hands-on training. We call those hot sessions, hands-on training. And that was supposed to happen in May of this year. That never happened with our department. And we haven't, we've also bought these sprinkler protection units that weren't prepared for use for this season, to the frustration of many of our members. So they were able to deploy them to Dalhousie, and they were quite effective in helping. They were out ahead of a fire, wet an area down, and provided some protection to about 20 homes down there. So we see that they have potential in the right situation. But we would like to see things move a little quicker here in Halifax with us implementing what the city has invested in and what we need to help keep the city safer.
We really appreciate your perspective today. Thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, thank you for having me.
That was Brendan Marr, who is the president of the Professional Firefighters Association.